So I played professional football for 16 odd years. Eventually found my way down here in Devon, Exeter, playing for Exeter. Got a bad knee injury. Could have probably carried on playing, but loved the area so much. Committed and bought a house down here with my wife. We had our first child at the time, and to kind of a lifestyle choice, chose to stay down here, retire from football, and go into teaching. And I went into teaching, or chose teaching. I'd chosen it kind of in my mid-20s, really, planning for it. I left school without A-levels, so I just inquired about teaching, what I would need. So I went back to school, did my A-levels, distance learning, did a degree, distance learning as well, whilst I was playing. So it's kind of always in the back of my mind. And it's my in-laws were heavily influential. They were both ex-teachers and encouraged me to go down that route. A lot of transferable skills from football that you could take into that, and just the kind of love of working with kids, to be honest, all through my career, whether that be coaching schools or you'd do community visits. Just whenever I was around children, I just got a lot of great feeling when I did it. So all of those reasons in one, I kind of planned for it for a while, and not look back. For me, I get a lot of job satisfaction where I work currently. A bit of a tricky area, high levels of deprivation. So I get a lot of my kicks from working with those sort of children, the challenging kids and building up those relationships. So you just get lots of job satisfaction, seeing those kind of light bulb moments that everyone talks about. It's a bit of a cliche, but when you do see them, they're really magical. And when those children understand something you've actually taught, it's an incredible feeling. Loads. Whenever I speak to ex-teammates of mine and they're a bit stuck of what to do in their next career, there are so many transferable skills. You've got your working as a staff, you've got working as a team, you've got communication skills, things like that. You've got determination that you need to succeed at the high level of football. Take that, you need that in teaching. It's a good quality. Resilience. So there's so many kind of transferable skills, and I think from a lot of careers, no matter where people are coming from, you'd be surprised at the amount of transferable skills that you acquire regardless of your route into teaching. I actually did a lot of research. I'd obviously had a bit of time when I had my knee injury. I had 9 months out of football, so I had plenty of time to research. And I went to other trainee providers, like the university, for instance, and had a chat with them, and had a chat with yourselves as well, and one or two other providers. But it was just the feeling of kind of the smaller cohort. Me being a slightly more mature student as well put me off the university route. And it was just, working with a smaller amount of people where I kind of knew that you'd be able to build relationships with those around you. You could draw upon that, those people for support, which you do need, because it's a tough route in, but it's a really rewarding, an amazing route to go down. So I chose Exeter Consortium for that reason, and also you guys are very school based as well, and I love the thought of that, of learning on the job, because that's where I feel as though you're going to learn the most. And it was the amount of time that we were able to spend in school was a big draw for me as well. And plus, obviously, when I came to meet the people that were involved at the time, they were just really good people and got a good feeling about it. So for all of those reasons. Really, really rewarding to be able to take my experiences within education, my experiences pre-education, to how to get on with people and things like that. So just drawing upon all the experiences I've had throughout my life, to be able to then pass that on is hugely rewarding as well. I thoroughly enjoyed it. There are tons. Every day there's something new, and that's what I love about primary school kids especially. They're so unpredictable, and some of the things they come out with is hilarious. But I guess I probably couldn't say half of them. But the most rewarding has been recently. This year, I've kind of taken over a school council, the pupil school council, and watching them grow as individuals, watching the children choose to raise money for charity, and it was all, you know, the children led, but we raised a hell of a lot of money for local charities, and so that's really memorable. But the fact that it's coming from the children, that was just that was incredible for me. It was a really humbling, special year this year, especially. It's been great. Very easy. I went into secondary school as part of my experience, and I think I'd find it more tricky working with teenagers and everything that comes with being a teenager. It probably would have pressed my buttons, to be honest. I think you know very quickly whether you prefer primary or secondary, and I knew that the first time I went into a primary school, I knew that that's where I wanted to be. And I went through the formality of going to a secondary school, but I knew within 10 minutes that this wasn't where I wanted to be. So I think you just know. But for me, like I said earlier, it's working with younger children when I was a football player, and the energy that I got from myself when working with those children, that's what did it for me. That's why I chose primary school. Yes, they do. They find out through various reasons. It's not something that I went out, you know, screaming off the top of the hills about, but they eventually, through, you know, all sorts of avenues, find out. The usual look on the internet and asking me questions and stuff. So it is nice to be able to share that with them, but it's not something I try and dwell on and brag about too much. But it's just nice because a lot of kids love football. So making them realise that actually there is life after football, I think is quite important as well. They see me in a different job and that you need to work hard in education. So from that point of view, it's been good that I'm able to spread that message, and that it's not so easy to be a football player. And despite their dreams of wanting to be a football player, it may not happen. They need to plan for other things. So, yeah. I've got three, and they were a huge influence as to why I've gone into teaching. There was a teacher called Mr. Beggs. Was my kind of PE teacher, deputy head of my primary school. Obviously I was good at football from a young age, and and we had a great team, and he was just a big influence on all of us boys in London at the time, keeping us on the straight and narrow, good role model, just a really amazing guy. He's quite an old guy. I've no idea whether he's still alive, but he was the kind of first, other than my dad and, you know, my brothers, the first real male role model that I'd met. So there was one. Then I had another really good experience with my form tutor, who was a PE teacher in my secondary school, Mr. McGuinness. I always remember him. He was amazing, really, really good influence on me and my mates. And an English teacher called Mrs. Foster, who I will never forget, because I hated English, hated writing. I was failing miserably at writing. And she just gave me a book. She kind of, within 2 lessons, had got me, gave me this book that changed my life, really. I fell in love with the book. And then from that moment on, I only had her for about 5 lessons, but I'll always remember her. She was really inspirational. So yeah, Mrs. Foster, the English teacher. So those 3 were quite significant figures in my journey into teaching. Well, there's a book that I got given to me by my English teacher, Mrs. Foster. Didn't have her very long, but she was really kind of inspirational. I think she was a cover teacher, like, kind of retired, but came in now and again, and she was incredible. And she recommended a book to me called Machine Gunners, which was about World War II and about a young lad navigating through that. And it was just, I loved it, loved the book, and it really got me into English literature. So I went on to get an A in my GCSEs. For me in my area, that was amazing. And then did English literature at A level as well. and then obviously with my degree went into journalism, sports writing. So it had a kind of a big turning point, actually, looking back now in my life. So it's a really inspirational book at the time. It's an amazing place, simple as that. The surrounding areas are stunning. You know, the radius around Exeter, no matter which direction you go in, it's incredible. So you've got that. Exeter itself is an incredible city. It's a really, really lovely city, safe, lovely restaurants, great nightlife, really good vibe about it. The transport links getting in and out of Exeter are really, really good. You know, I go back to London a lot, and it's surprisingly quite close. You could get to London from Exeter in under 3 hours, which I think is, you know, amazing. The people are really, really friendly down here. So there's all sorts of reasons. I mean, I settled down here 10 years ago, and there's no way I'm going anywhere near London again, because I do love it. It's just an amazing place.